Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
Hey guys, this is your co-host Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average pun-making swearwolf that loves to explore the spookier things in life.
I'm your co-host John Thomas, paranormal investigator, super smartass, and film lover extraordinaire.
What's up, ghouls, gals, and meta pals? In today's episode, we'll be talking about multidimensional healing, as well as the Andromedan Grand Council. What exactly is multidimensional healing? Who and what is the Andromedan Grand Council? Join us, along with our special guest, multidimensional energy healer Julie Wilson, as we dive into this galactic world.
But first, a word from our network sponsor.
Are you looking for more awesome podcasts? Head on over to withoutyourhead.com for access to the Without Your Head podcast network, where you'll find a variety of podcasts sure to keep you entertained and coming back for more.
All right, like Ashley said, we have special guest Julie Wilson joining us. Thank you for joining us on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. This is a really awesome topic that I have zero idea where to begin talking about, just because I mostly don't understand any of it. And
Same.
Honestly, when it comes to topics that I don't already have a preconceived notion on, I don't want to Google it, because I feel like there is way too much out there and I don't want to give any kind of misinformation to myself. So it's just like, you know what? I'm coming in with a blank slate here. So my first burning question, what is the Andromedan Grand Council?
Okay, so this is a group of beings who, I would say, about a year ago, I already did a lot of energy work. I work with people. I had learned some modalities. My own healing journey started several years ago. So a little backstory. So I had kind of been, learning modalities, learning how to work in the dimensions with multidimensional aspects with people. And because we all have multidimensional aspects that can come in and help us and guide us. And it's this group of beings in Andromeda that kept coming to me, so I would see them and like in meditation and whatnot, and I was just like, okay. And one day, like, the name Andromedan Grand Council came in, and so I had spent lifetimes working in Andromeda, working with this group of beings, helping, clean out infiltration of darkness and some of the things that go on, in the universe. So it's not just on Earth, but it's been in other areas as well, and so one of my big missions here was to bring in frequencies from Andromeda, work with people who may have maybe Andromedan star seeds or have a history with those people, and, kind of help with the healing of the earth and the people here and everything that, needs to happen to kind of get us back to where we were at one time. So the connection with them, there was a lot of past lives that came in through meditation and kind of unpacking. I worked with a really advanced spiritual teacher. His name is Antonio Aurelio, and his partner Zaffi Marie, and they helped me really understand that connection with Andromeda. That the first time I actually in meditation went there, it was light language symbols that came in that were my unlocking of like first dimensional consciousness up to 12th dimensional consciousness. And so some of that was just my own soul journey and my own soul codes to understand first. And then that connection with them and some of the work we had done. There was a lot of missions that had to do with like rehabilitation of species or working with DNA. I do that here as well. So, kind of recoding, bringing in crystalline energy, and I mean, some of our food's toxic. Some of the water's toxic. There's toxicities here. There's things we need to work on. So, my work is in the quantum. So I do healing in the quantum, and it affects the physical body, the mind, spirit, all of those things. But it's not actual, like physical, like go to the doctor work. So. I don't know. I kind of rambled, so.
No, and you know what's great is you're saying all these things that, holy moly, talk about synchronicity. We've been being introduced to lately with other guests as well. So, like you said, Andromedan starseed, and it's like, oh my gosh, we just learned what like starseed is because I wasn't sure what that was, and so that's I think I'm still trying to understand what starseed is, but are you able to identify them people's star seeds, or is it specific just to Andromeda?
No, yeah, I can identify. Most of the time, it'll come in as where it is or a specific. So it may not be if I don't know the star system, it'll be just an energetic frequency or a picture of a constellation that'll come in, and then I may have to like see what constellation it was. But most of the time, I'm very familiar with Arcturian, Syrian, you know, the major energies that are here and the star seeds that are here. So it's usually pretty easy for me to connect in and find out, you know, where somebody's from, if that's something that they wanted to understand.
So is everybody here from a specific starseed constellation region, or is it just specific individuals?
I feel like everybody here has some kind of, yeah, you know,
Like
there's
starseed
hybrids.
origin
Yeah,
story?
there's people that from multiple places. There's, you know, but I don't feel like, you know, humanity is just, you know, humanity, and there are a few star seeds. I feel like everybody has a story or a, you know, a history in some kind of galactic form. At least everybody I've ran into and everything I've channeled, I've never found somebody who is just like, hey, I haven't done anything but come to Earth and
This is where I'm from. This is my
yeah.
origin story.
So hey, I'm always open to learning too. I'm not saying it's not possible at all. It's, you know, but that's just my experience so far.
And you mentioned you work in the quantum, and I love that. All I can think of is like Quantum Leap and Ant-Man, and I don't know why, but that's just like what popped in my head. It's so random. I'm sorry, but
No.
you work in the quantum, and you were talking about DNA. How does one work with DNA and like activation on a metaphysical level? Because I don't think you mean you're doing actual like chemical alterations,
No, no, no.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so it would be similar to if you were going into a meditative state. So I go up to at least the sixth dimension and up. And when you work in the dimensions, you can feel the energy shift as you go up. So there is a process, a certification process that I went through to get certified to do DNA activation. So I'm working with the etheric strands, which are not like the anything in the physical. So, and I can see the strands. You know, in meditation, I can see where there's density or darkness. I can also see this on people's energy fields, or like if they have, you know, entity attachments or dark energy attachments. Some of it's their own mind negative trait habits that just, you know what I mean? You can clear that out as well and let them know this is a pattern, a reoccurring pattern that's, you know, I'm going to clear out, but you're going to have to do some work to kind of rewire that yourself and, you know, try to shift it to a positive mindset. But the actual, yeah, the DNA work is going through the DNA strands up to 48 is what the certification was, you know, we were taught to do. And then repairing, clearing, healing, any of that thing, you know, whatever needs to be done from that. And then there's an activation at the end. So
What does the activation activate?
the crystalline energy that needed to be activated and should have been activated. It got shut down when darkness infiltrated and shut down our DNA. Everybody's psychic. Everybody has a certain degree of psychic abilities and spiritual gifts. It just depends on how much they'll open here while they're here. And so a lot of that's been shut down due to manipulation and tampering of not just like food and water, but like our actual spiritual bodies. So there's so many people on the planet like working to repair and shift all of this right now. So, but just that's one of the things I do. So I work with that piece of it to help bring people back online. It clears up. Well, I can't say it cures anything. It's not, you know, it does have a tendency to, you know, make spiritual gifts unwind a little faster and easier, make people, you know, illnesses have kind of like shifted, or anxiety has shifted on, you know, personal person by person basis, but I can't, you know, say that that's the reason for it, but I have seen, you know, like things happen. So
Well, I think we've discussed this on previous episodes too, where not just in the metaphysical world, or the new age world, But even in older traditional systems, there's a belief system that your spiritual body and your energy body directly is tied to and impacts your physical body. So that if you do have an imbalance or in some kind of blockage in your energy and spiritual bodies, it does manifest into physical disease. One can directly impact the other. And so it would be interesting to see these kind of like spiritual unlockings and realignments helping reduce certain physical ailments that end up manifesting because of that. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a lot of trauma too. When trauma's when you can clear out trauma, because trauma sits in the body. So when people have past lives that they don't know, things that have happened because, they don't remember, there can be trauma still that they bring forward to their new life. So there have been things like birthmarks that were from somebody, there was a house that fell on somebody, like one of the boulders on her arm, and she has a birthmark right in the same spot. So when we cleared that trauma, like all of these memories came back of this thing, and that arm was in pain while I was doing the work, and her leg was in pain while I was doing the work, but then once it was cleared out, she felt better. So there are definitely, a lot of synchronicities to things, fears, phobias, things that, you can bring that manifest in the physical that have something to do with either a past life or a spiritual type, thing. So, yeah.
And we just talked about that too earlier.
Yeah. It's just interesting how all of these topics are just presenting and coming to surface. And
I love it.
don't
I love it
believe
when
it's
things,
yeah,
things
I don't think
pop
it's a
in at the
coincidence.
same time. Yeah.
It's like saying, pay attention.
Yeah.
So for you, when did you first start this journey of being aware that there were multi dimensions, just other than the one we exist on, and working with that?
Well, ever since I was a kid, I was always imaginative, so I've always kind of had my head in the clouds, I guess you would say. So I was pretty much connected in from childhood, and then like around 16, I really started to feel my spiritual gifts come online, and I kind of shut that energy down because I was afraid of it. So, fast forward a little bit, 2009, I got married. We started trying to have a baby. I had fertility issues. I had my own trauma and like healing journey I had to kind of embark upon. So that started my search for extra spiritual teachers, or, what I mean? Like healing modalities, Reiki, whatever I could, find. And then that you kind of, once you find one, you kind of move on. And so I would say in the last year, I really started understanding after the DNA activation certification, I was kind of searching for even, a deeper healing method or process. And when I started working with Antonio, he helped me understand more of the dimensional work, multidimensional aspects, as in we can have like dragon aspects or fairy aspects or angelic aspects that can come in that can help us, understand parts of ourselves. And when I started really working with those aspects, I started understanding that connection to the Andromedan Grand Council, how much work I had done there, and what my aspects, I had actually hidden information in many of my aspects for a quantum healing method that I'm putting together now for, to bring here. So the unpacking of that, and some of that was, traumatic experiences and things like that. So you have to do the shadow work. You kind of have to unpack it before the clarity of the information comes through. So, the last year or so, I've really, really kind of dove into understanding all of the stuff myself before I worked with people with it, so that I could really have a good foundation of like the energy I was reading, what I was doing. And I mean, the dimensions go up, way past 12. So I know that Andromedan piece is like, I know it's 12th, at least up to 12th dimensional consciousness that I'm here to bring in to help people unlock to that level. And then, but they go, way up beyond that.
Do they go below?
Yeah, they start at like 0, 1, 2. Like we're in 3, but we're moving up. So.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So are you able to communicate with everything from where we're at and up, or can you go to 2, 1, and 0?
Yeah, the lower ones are just like the elementals. So like I don't really do a lot of stuff down there, but it could potentially,
Could you explain what elementals are? Because that's something that we've heard a little bit about, but not a lot of people seem to understand what it is. So what exactly are elementals?
Yeah, the rocks and the trees and more nature type things that aren't like people, or above that. So like crystals and things of that nature.
Are there entities within the elementals?
Yeah, there are entities down and that go quite high up. So
Because we've heard elementals referred to more in like creature aspect. Like we had a lady talking to us about how her home had a vortex and that someone was saying that it draws in the elementals. So we were trying to understand what that means because she wasn't sure either. She's like, I don't even know what that means. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. So
Right. Hers was specifically what the water elementals. I can't even talk.
water
So
Okay.
elementals are drawn in,
yeah,
and
yeah. Because she has
they made
a
it sound
creek
more
right
like a
by.
creature.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's water and then there are like water energies. So yeah, I guess from that aspect, I don't work a lot with that. So I work a lot with water, but but it's more like, for me, it's like the water grids and portals and things of that nature. But like actual like elemental water creatures, other than like the ones we're aware of, like dolphin energy and things like that, I don't really work a lot with that. To my knowledge, below 3D is where that, like the elements like fire, water, all of that stuff come in though.
Ah, so you said you work with water grids. What exactly is like? Because I think I saw you reference something else on your professional page, and it was like a matrix. Was it a ruby matrix? No, am I making that up?
Oh yeah, the Rubik's module. So it is the Matrix Rubik's module. So there are several of them in the universe, and there are times that I'm sent to them because of recalibrations or something that needs to be done. So it's usually, and that one was, there was a darker energy over the earth that I cleared and I sent it through a portal. But after I cleared it, I could still feel like it was connected to the collective. Like I could still see the darker energy around people and just around. Because usually, like when I do work, I'll be above it and I'll just see everything as I'm looking down, and then sometimes I'll go down into it and whatnot. So I was sent there to do some work up there as well. And in that update, I had said it came in like pixelated pictures, and it was just like all of these little post-it notes of all of these like just negative traits and things that were kind of like circulating in the collective. So what the image that came into me was just like darker, like computer wires going into like the little Merkaba hub. And so those wires were just recoded to a crystalline energy and to light. And so as that light just kind of worked its way up those cords, I started to see the collective and some of that energy shifting.
So then you said you were sent there to do some work to that matrix. What are those? Because you said there's 3. Is that right?
No, there's several in the
Oh,
universe.
okay, sorry.
I've been sent to 2.
What are
So
those?
so far, they just help with the matrix and the grid systems, because even though we're here and like everybody says, oh, I want to get out of the matrix and I want to do all of this, I mean, there's still crystalline like structures and sacred geometric shapes and stuff like that that kind of help all of reality exist. So these are a big part of keeping everything running correctly and smoothly, and it should always be like a positive type energy that you're seeing coming out of those. So
And those run through just existence. Is that what I'm understanding?
yeah.
So like if I visualize that, it's just like ideally light lines kind of just running throughout existence, keeping everything working
Yeah.
the way it should be.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And geometric shapes and whatnot. Yeah, yeah.
What do the geometric shapes, I guess, what's the purpose? Because we've tried to talk about sacred geometry, but it's only based on what we can gather on the internet.
Yeah.
So we've never had someone who actually understands the sacred geometrical shapes and how they actually integrate in or work with the, general world. So is that something you might be able to help us understand?
So from my understanding, they just help run everything kind of like computer hard drives run computers. They're put in place to help everything run in the correct fashion, and they're kind of like incorruptible like structures. So that's my knowledge of them. This one matrix Rubik's module is the only actual like sacred geometric shape I've ever actually worked with. So that's, those are the things that's the experience I have with that. I do know that like crystals and like shapes and with like light language, a lot of that stuff always comes in, especially during healing sessions to help people. So I know that it's throughout the universe. They're very beneficial, frequencies, and they carry very beneficial frequencies.
And with the light language, what exactly is a light language?
It's a language that your human self doesn't need to understand, but it comes from your soul. So it can activate and do all of the healing work as well, just like if you were, getting certified in Reiki or something of that nature, where you were actually using a symbol somebody taught you, or DNA activation where you were using a process somebody taught you. It's almost like a language of your soul that can bypass like your human mind and just go into your consciousness. And my daughter always says that it makes her really calm when light language always makes her feel really calm. So it's just a very a brighter type energy.
So is it an unspoken language? Is it a visual language, or is it more of like an energetic kind of communication?
It can be spoken. You can use hand signs, or you can write it.
Is that something I can find on Google? No, I'm kidding.
You can. It's well known.
That's awesome. Where was I going to go with that? Oh, so with the Andromedan Grand Council, is that a group of beings collected from the different dimensions, or is it residing in a specific dimension? Are we part of it, or is it its own thing that we connect to?
It's its own thing that we connect to. And in the Andromedan, it's basically 12th dimensional frequency and above is what I have understood. They are a council of beings who are like peacekeepers. They work with other planetary bodies, to keep peace everywhere, run galactic missions, things of that nature. So we can connect with, I don't know, I know other people do talk about connecting with Andromedan councils, so there are other people here doing it, and the Andromedan energy anybody can connect with if they wanted to, just in meditation or anything of that nature.
So just because I'm a Marvel geek and we talked about Harry Potter earlier, but like I picture these guys being like the Watchers and basically just overseeing everything and making sure, like you were saying, it's running smoothly.
And like when I connect with them, I just bring messages for humanity. So it's, and then just, like whatever little missions or something that I might run, that they have or I see the darkness, like the darkness over the planet. If something happens and I see something, I usually have a specific galactic guide that comes in. And so I'll know that message is from the Andromedan Grand Council for humanity to let them know whatever it is.
Where does that darkness come from? Like, where is it being originated from? Do you know?
I don't know. I know that it's everywhere, though. So, we've come a long way here. And, there's so many people doing so many amazing things right now to just make sure everything is put back to the way it should have been. But I don't know. I don't know. I know a little bit of the history that I've channeled just personally of what my own soul history of understanding, like my run-ins with, I guess and the things I've tried to do to help, and my own soul family lineage. I have run into a few of those people, so we've had conversations about, that, but I don't know exactly how. I believe from my experience and what I've learned, it was just greed and power hunger that started, people kind of going to a darker side, and it just got out of control, and it moved up, and it just wreaked havoc on everything. And so
kind of became its own entity from that, and then
yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned soul family. Which I've done some work in a different realm, not dimension, but like in a different area of my life, that that idea surfaced, that we have soulmates that are in the not romantic nature. They're your soul family that you run with throughout different lifetimes. And so for you, do you ever do work with people to help them identify or find soul family connections? Or is that
Yeah.
something that's really hard to do?
No, a lot of times when people just feel really comfortable, they're your soul family. So, you know, I have had people, you know, ask me, hey, is this person, you know, I've just always felt like this was my soulmate or this is my husband, and like we clicked, or like just like that. And so questions like that come up, and a lot of times they're either it's a person like from your soul family here to help you, or it's a person put in your path to help you get where you need to go. So they're sent for a reason, no matter what. It's either soul family or it's somebody who is going to help you for a period of time to make sure you meet your goals, and maybe you'll help them back or whatever. But a lot of things are contracted before we even get here. So like
I've heard of those
people,
referred to as
helpers.
karmic soulmates, the ones helping you
Yeah,
learn the
yeah.
lesson you're supposed to learn.
Yeah, sometimes it's not so pleasant, you know. We always joke about I always joke about, I'm like, I'm sure there are people here who I don't like very much, but we probably like said, all right, let's go. It's my turn to be the bad guy, and oh, we'll meet back and we'll be friends again. Like,
we're
you're
doing
not
this
gonna like
time we're
me. Yeah.
enemies, but next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's really awesome. And it sounds like you mentioned your daughter understands light language. So you are introducing your children to this. Do you find that kids are more receptive to being able to tap into their gifts than adults?
Yeah, if it's not shut down. So usually around 7 or 8, if it's not shut down, kids will never, they'll just naturally have their spiritual gifts. So my daughter, there's some things she does. I kind of just see if she's interested in it, because I don't really want to push it, but there's certain things that she's interested in. So they're definitely like clearing her own energy and like good energy hygiene practices we do together, and I've taught her how to do. And then, you know, she likes the calming stuff and the fun stuff. So yeah, I do feel like, you know, kids are like kind of like sponges, and their little energy bodies are kind of open to learning all of this stuff, and it's just natural to them. So, you know, as long as you have good precautions and practices to protect their energy, I do think that, you know, it's a good thing to allow them to, you know, if they're curious about it, to learn.
What does energy hygiene entail? I
So
like the
just
sound of it. So
yeah. Just like clearing your energy, if you know, daily, and maybe your house, and just so like I use I call it a shield. So it's always around me, it's always around her, it's around our house. So just checking it, clearing it daily. And every night we go to bed, and I clear her energy, and then she'll go through like whoever she wants to go through in the house, the dogs or whatnot, and she's like, all right, I'm gonna get this one, you get that one, and you know, it's just cute. So yeah,
that's
just
cute. That's a
telling her.
family activity.
Yeah. And then just like if she's been in the busier places, just, you know, learning to clear and like to cleanse, and you know, just that kind of practice of a daily, you know, working on yourself.
So you mentioned you did the DNA certification to work with the DNA healing, and I'm curious, how does that certification work? Like, is who becomes that certification body? Because this is not something that, you know, is at a university in every city. This is a
Yeah,
very
no.
specialized. So,
Yeah.
how does that even work?
So there are usually, I mean, you usually vet who's doing the certifications, and most of the time it's people who are very well known in the field and have done a ton of research, and you know where that research came from. And even like, so like for my DNA activation, I knew, you know, even the people who were above the people who were teaching me, and like the research that was done into it. But so there are all kinds of spiritual teachers doing all kinds of stuff. So I think discernment and vetting and energetic vetting of, is this really, you know, this person really who they are? So I think energy is everything. So before I even like do the research, like in Google, I'm like checking energetically, is this, you know, a good person? So
I hope we
yeah,
read okay to you.
you guys are great.
Woo! Okay.
But
Yeah.
I don't just do that. Like, I'm not just like in your guys' stuff. Like, there has to be a permission, and you'd have to be like, you know what I mean? There's like a permission that goes on. So
Right, but I'm sure you can still kind of get a
from the
general
vibes,
idea,
I
though.
love your
Yeah,
guys' energy. Yeah. So it's good.
Thank
It's
you.
good stuff.
yeah.
Thank you. Because I was gonna say, I did, like John said, you sometimes just you do come across an individual, and it's like, oh, that
Yeah.
energy is not for me.
Yes. You know. Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, right? Like your energy reacts before your mind does, and it's like, nope,
Yeah.
We're just going to go our way and you go yours. Our paths are
Yeah,
not too intertwined.
absolutely.
Did you find because it sounds like you're more fairly new into the researching and working with the multidimensional healing, did you find support or resistance from your community when you first started this journey?
I've had a lot of support, and I've been a little shy to, even put all of this out there because I kind of expected the opposite, and I have not come across any negativity or anything. Definitely some questions, and I mean, I don't know that I'm like. I feel like sometimes I'm like people think I have three heads at like the holidays, but for some of the stuff I post, but like everybody's been really, really nice. So I think, as long as you're authentic in what you're doing and you know that what you're doing is the real deal, like, you're gonna have more support than negative, things happen.
I think truly believing in what you are pursuing and, like you said, being just true to your inner truth. I feel like when we lock into that inner truth, people aren't as combative as they might normally be. But I don't know, these topics are still kind of, although the world seems to be embracing it more, um these topics are a bit still out there for some people, and I feel like people
Absolutely.
get, like, when they feel uncomfortable, they get a little aggressive. So I think it's great you found like they're supportive, you have support in your community. That is so awesome.
Yeah, I think too, it's like it takes a long time to get really good at understanding energy work and working through your own trauma. So I think I've taken it like enough time to really like do my own healing journey that I didn't get caught up in a lot of, this isn't true or that isn't true, because I didn't really go out there with the channeling that I'm doing until I was like, okay, I know this is, a clear, like concise channel, and the information is good information.
Have you ever found, going into these different layers and these levels, have you encountered things that are negative or cause you to pause, like, this is too much? Because honestly, I would be super afraid. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this would be very scary for me to go out on that much of an unknown. I'm very afraid of things.
Yeah, it was in the beginning, but like I was the kid that wanted to watch the scary movies. Like when I was younger than most parents would let, their kids, like my mom would even be like, "Are you sure you want to watch that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I've always just been like, I don't know, I want to understand it all. And so I think to understand it all, you have to actually, see it all. But like once you learn that if you take your power back and you know how to, nothing can really take you over, nothing can really, bother you if you're in your power and where to send it, or what to do with it, or how to work with stuff. So it's not, I mean, there's still times that I'll message someone and I'll be like, hey, this thing looks really gnarly in there, it'll be like it's fine, you'll be fine, just do the normal process. But just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not here. So I would rather know what to do with it than not, because it's like it's.
Ooh, that's a good philosophy. For me, I've also always operated with, I can't see, I'm good. I can't see
Right.
anything,
You're
I'm
not
great.
there.
But
Yeah.
it's like, it's still there. And we always
Yeah.
joke, like, just because people don't believe in ghosts doesn't mean the ghosts don't believe in you.
No. Right.
See, I knew she was one of us because she mentioned the scary movies when she was younger. So I
Oh
love
my
it.
gosh.
We
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
like,
That was
John
my
and I grew
jam.
up on scary movies. Yeah,
Yep.
it's totally our thing. What's your favorite scary movie?
So when I was a kid, it was Poltergeist, but I would say I like
That's
the
so fitting.
paranormal. Yeah, paranormal activity movies. Like I like the stuff that
Yes.
goes bump in the night. So I'm like,
No.
no, you know,
Ashley does not know.
yeah. Sinister was too much for me. Sinister is probably the only movie I'll never watch again. That
Yeah,
movie was a lot.
that
But
was a lot. Yeah.
yeah, other than that, I'm like, I don't know.
I love the Poltergeist movies. They totally messed with me, and especially the third one with the mirrors. Something
Yeah.
about the mirrors got me. But the like paranormal activity movies, those I felt a little too close to home. And so I was like,
Really?
I'm good with those. Like I watched them, but I'm like, nope, I don't need to
Yeah.
rewatch those. Those
No,
are
I've
one
rewatched
and
them.
done.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no. I love the
Yep.
Lost Boys.
I love that movie too. I watched that like on repeat for sure.
She's my new friend. So
Told you, one of us for sure.
you're one of
Yeah.
us. Be one of us, Michael. Yeah, I love that. I seriously like nerd moment. I would get ready for school in high school every day to that movie. I'd be like getting ready, brushing my hair, doing stuff, and it's playing in the background.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my sister would walk by and she's like, "You are so weird." And I'm like, "Leave me alone."
Yep. Nope. That was me too. So you're
Loved
not weird.
it. And now it's just like all the scary movies. I still need to watch Smile. I haven't watched that
I
one.
haven't watched that either.
That
Yeah.
one, I recommend it for sure. It's
Okay.
creepy.
Is
It's
it?
on the to watch list. So,
Yes, definitely.
given that you work with the different dimensions, then I guess the question is that we always seem to come to is, where do the demons exist? Since we're talking about a smile and those kind of things,
So they're not just like in a they go up
they're
and
everywhere.
yeah, they're, I mean, but they're, it's not everywhere like a bad thing. It's not like they're just, hanging out waiting to, like, I mean, yeah, there are bad things here. There are very good things here. So I feel like there are enough good that's combating the bad. But like, what was it, Constantine? Like some of the
Oh, yeah.
battles, like the good and bad angel, but like that stuff exists. That stuff's going on. Like there's galactic wars and stuff really going on. It's not just like the movies. I feel like movies are disclosure a lot. Even like Divergent, I feel like a lot of the star seeds are like the divergence of like Earth, and like we're, you know what I mean? We're just here to like not conform. So, I feel like there's so much disclosure going on in movies that people are just like not, always picking up on, but
We're almost being desensitized to it, like because it's
yeah.
presented in a movie. It's not real.
Yeah, but I'm like, there's a lot more that goes on than, you know what I mean, that movie. And I'm like, where did they get the stories for the movies? Because it's happening. I mean, yes, there are people that come up with stories, but still, I'm like, really, they're all, Marvel movies. I'm like, all these themes. It's like, where are they coming from?
Yeah. And sometimes I think that people, they shut down their gifts, but there's certain places we can't keep our gifts shut down, like when we're asleep. And I think that oftentimes is when these inspirations for songs and movies and all of these things come to us, because that's the one moment we can't be completely shut down and monotone and going through the, everyday widget of life. And so yeah, I think when we see these things presented in stories and poems and music and art, it's like it's coming from somewhere. And I love that you referenced Constantine. One of my favorite scenes in a movie is when he like pulls his sleeves up and he like slams his arms together and he's like pulling it together and the world start to reveal itself what's actually going on, and it's like, this is amazing. Holy cow, I love this.
Yeah.
That was epic. Although I never understood the
Right?
cat scene where it's like meditate into the cat's eyes and suddenly you're there in hell. And that one I didn't
Yeah,
quite get it.
no.
I'm like, is it because cats
Me
are
neither.
evil? I don't know.
No, and cats are good. I'm like, I hate it when people are like, black cats are bad luck. They are not bad luck. That is such, that's just wrong on all levels. I'm like, don't hurt the black cats on
Exactly.
Halloween. It is not their fault. They have a bad rep. You leave them alone.
So, what are soul secrets?
I was always the kid that like wanted to like figure out the puzzle or like put the pieces together. So I'm always like trying to, when I do energy work with people, like trying to find things they don't maybe not know, so secrets they don't know, or like help with, past life stuff or something that, they haven't figured out yet. So it was just seemed like it was a fitting name for the business.
I like it. Are you able to help people with unlocking or not? I know you said you can help them with clearing and then activating the crystalline energy. Are you able to help them kind of figure out their range or scope of gifts?
Yeah.
Or is it just they kind of figure it out themselves?
No, absolutely. So there are four main clair gifts. We have more than that, but usually it is it's claircognizant, which is your crown chakra. So that's more of like intellectual, like thinking. Your third eye chakra is more like when you can see. So my third eye, I use it a lot. I see more than anything. And then your solar plexus is connected to, well, there's your heart chakra is
I was like, you're
obviously where
skipping
your
me.
heart is. That's your clairsentient, where, I know, sorry.
Just kidding.
Where, no, yeah. Where you can feel. So yeah, so feeling and seeing are my two main ones. And then your throat chakra is more for like your hearing. So if you can, hear. So a lot of times when I work with people, if there's a specific gift that is the most prominent, it will just show up. It'll be brighter than the rest. And so then they can just do exercises and practicing. Honestly, practicing on people is the fastest way to open gifts I've ever seen. So, just like trying to read energy, trying to answer questions, working with somebody, a friend, anybody, you know what I mean? And just like strengthening that muscle. There are so many exercises online too to, strengthen your clair gifts. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like Ashley. I feel things, and it's weird because I don't know. This is hard to explain. But sometimes I just know things about people, even if it's people that I have not met or before met once, and I can sit there and tell them, this is this, and this is what's going on with you, and they're just like, "How the hell did you know that?" I don't know. It just came to me. Like I
Yeah.
didn't even know I knew
I
that.
didn't
Like
even
I'm
know I
just
knew that.
blurting stuff out. That's all it is. So yeah, it's so funny because I've freaked so many people out doing that. I'm like, I'm freaking myself out. Like I didn't know I could do this either. So yeah, it's just trippy.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's definitely your gifts working. Your
Right.
intuition is on point.
I would like to know where in the dream, like where the dream world exists within the planes and the gifts, because I feel like there's a lot there that we don't have as much information about that for like I sometimes wonder when we sleep, does our brain somehow key into other dimensions and that's where we kind of travel for a while or what that plane of existence is?
Yeah, it's the astral plane. So all of us travel there at night, whether we remember it or not. That's why sometimes when dreams are really wonky, you're just like, what just happened? It's you're probably not all the way down, but a lot of things are not remembered when we're dreaming. I don't remember a lot when I dream, but I do know, like some days when I wake up really tired, I'm like, I don't know what I was doing, but it was something. So yeah, we all definitely are more in tune with the higher dimensions, our higher self, our aspects. We're off doing something, some kind of mission, some kind of investigation or exploration.
Because you work with the multi dimensions, are you able to sense or see like any kind of extraterrestrial type presences here, like in our physical realm?
Yeah, you mean, yeah. Sometimes I don't. I mean, like when I channel the Andromedan beings, I see those. I mean, I have seen like reptilian type beings before. I've never seen like the classic like the green gooey alien. Like
Right.
I'm like, where are those? Because that's all you ever see on TV, and like I've never encountered anything like that. But just like there are different multidimensional aspects. Yeah, I've ran into different types of extraterrestrials. They most of the time they're very elegant, like almost like pretty type, because I think their energy is so bright most of the time because there's so many good, you know what I mean, good extraterrestrials out there that it's just like a positive experience. There have been a couple of, there was a reptilian screaming at me once in DNA activation, so that wasn't very fun. But that, so that
So was
got
that
sent out.
reptilian
But
creature like in a different dimension while you were clearing or was
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So like I have never seen physically like in person an extraterrestrial here. No.
I was just curious. I didn't know because I feel
Yeah.
like once your senses are open, they're open. So I wasn't.
Yeah. I've seen stuff in the sky that seems weird. Like I've seen stuff, lights and stuff that I'm just like, what is going on? And I can't take pictures of it. So I've never gotten like a picture of stuff, but there have been times, even when I was 16, I saw something. So there have been times I've seen stuff like that, but not an actual alien like in front of me. Like if I'm sent to clear something, it's like I know it's a safe thing to do because I'm sent to it. So it's like if I just ran into something that was like, a really funky energy in a place I didn't know and I didn't feel comfortable with it, like I'm not going to just go play with it. There's times that I was doing missions like to save like the children, like satanic ritual abuse children's souls that were stuck and stuff, and that was some pretty dark stuff that I'm like, I'm out. I can't do this kind of stuff anymore. So that kind of like I don't know. There's a feeling that it, kind of like what you were talking about. There's a frequency that it hit that I was just like, this is not for me. So yeah, I'm always like, go with your gut.
Do you find when you are doing this kind of work, do you find other energies, entities, or people trying to stop you from doing that?
Yeah, there's things that have happened, like headaches, like, super weird physical things all of a sudden, or like, you know, trouble clearing certain things because there's resistance around it. So there have definitely been things that have stopped me from, the progress. So not so much anymore, because I'm way better at shielding and, the energy protection practices than I was when some of those things happened. So it doesn't really happen much anymore. But I think it's probably the places I go up higher though. The higher you can do all of the same work I was doing. I'm like, well, you got to go down low to clear out the down low. It's like, no, go up here and then you're safe. So I feel like, it's easier that way.
Yeah, you don't want the things coming up from the bowels of the earth to stop
No,
you.
I don't want to play with. You guys go ahead and do your thing. Like, I like scary movies, but I don't want to just hang out with y'all.
Right? Exactly. I don't want to actually play with those creatures. Because
No.
I've had friends that they're like, we are the agents of the light and we're going to be light workers and we're doing these things. And it's like, great. But to me, it doesn't require going directly to these places, right? To these hot spots and standing on it and be like, this is how I'm going to clear it. I'm going to walk it. It's like, surely you should be able to do that from a safe place, from a safe distance. But
yeah, I don't even do like the haunted houses and stuff like to actually physically go to them. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
John.
like not the, yeah, I would, but I feel like let me, be in my safe little bubble and I'll do the work from here. I'll watch it on TV because I'm, I love the scary movies, but I'm like, I don't know. I guess it gets my anxiety up to actually like physically walk through the dark places. Like you see those, people that post the videos and they're like in the pitch black and I'm like, at least turn the lights on. I mean,
but then they wouldn't have a good TV show.
Right. Yeah. I'm not going to be standing
Sometimes you'd
there in
rather
the dark.
not see what you think you're going to see. So yeah, sometimes sitting in the dark's actually better.
Yeah.
Oh no, hell no, because I want to see it. Like, I don't want it grabbing me from behind and biting my shoulder off. Like, nope.
If it's
Right.
coming at you from behind, you're not going to see it anyway, Ashley.
At least the light will make me feel a little bit more false sense of security.
Oh, I hear you. Pretty much, it's your lightsaber kind of thing. Yeah, I get it. Trust me.
It's
Yes,
that false sense of
absolutely.
security. Yeah. It's like, I like that too, though. Just turn the lights
Yes.
on and we'll pretend.
We'll pretend we're all good. Oh my gosh. Have you had people ask you to do that though? Like, come clear my house, come clear entities?
Yeah. I've had people, I haven't actually physically gone to a house, but I've cleared houses and spaces and closed portals. And there were a couple in the one lady's house. One was by her window and one was in her floor. And most of the time they're down lower, like basements and stuff like that. But
Where did those come from?
yeah.
Like, how are they? Is it just energy over time?
Yeah, some of them are, I think, here to help us, and some of them are good, positive things, and some of them are created out of nefarious purposes, just to mess with people or to let things in. And so
We have a friend who has a haunted Airbnb that she very much wants to get rid of the portal in her basement. So we'll have to connect you
Yeah.
two
yeah, absolutely.
because she does not want it
I
there.
would love to help her.
She said,
No, I had one in my house. I did. Yeah, I didn't. It's. I'm glad it's done too. So
She doesn't want, like, she doesn't mind her 15 ghosts. She loves them, but she wants to get rid of the portal. She does not like that. So we'll connect you.
okay. Yeah, it's funny. The first time like my mediumship came in, speaking of ghosts, like this guy is like, I thought I was losing my ever-loving mind. I hear this guy's voice saying, "Can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me?" And so I'm like, "Oh my freaking God, what is going on?" I walk outside and he's still talking to me, and I'm like, so I messaged a friend and she's like, "It's fine. Just tell him, yeah, you can hear him and find out what he needs." I was like, "Okay, it's that easy?" She's like, "Yep." So.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I can handle that.
It was an interesting day to say the least. I'm not as open now because I can
You can control that.
rein it in a little bit. Yeah, that was in the beginning, and I'm just like, okay,
Can you hear
it's a
me?
little too much.
I can see Ashley dealing with that. Nope, sure can't.
Oh.
What? Nope.
Nope. No one's home. Check next door.
Right.
So, with the light language that you've learned, is that used to communicate with I'm trying to think because I know you said it's the soul's language. Is it like a universal language that is it used to connect to other beings, to the council? Like, what purpose does that language serve?
I mean, it can be. I've only ever used it for more so for myself. I've used it for a couple of clients, but I mostly have only used it for myself. So, from my understanding, it's just like a healing type language. It's stuff to activate, your cells and your body, bring on natural healing and detox type stuff and things of that nature. So it's just another healing process can be used that can, the sounds or the symbols or, it's just another form of any kind of healing process. I mean, there's times that I even see people put the symbols and I'll be like, holy cow. And I can feel something from it. So it's, I know that even other people's light language, some of them are very potent. And I think it just depends on where they're from and if it resonates or not. So not that it's not all potent, but sometimes you just resonate more with certain energies than others. So there have been times that it's stopped me in my tracks. So, and I'm when I saw a video or when I heard it or, saw even the hand signals to music. So
it's like you said, because I think I remember what you said earlier. It can be hand signals. It can be spoken,
sung,
written,
a lot of people sing
different
certain
forms.
things. It can even be sung in just non-form of words, but just if I have a terrible voice, so I won't sing. But so somebody just sing, can actually sing. Then sometimes they even just sounds that sound like a song can have light language infused into it. So
that's so cool. I just I want to keep talking to her, but I don't know when I'm gonna keep you all night. So if people want to contact you, to work with you, to find more information, or just because they feel lost, what's the best way? Are you open to being contacted, and what's the best way to contact you?
absolutely. I emailed my Linktree, but my Facebook profile, that's probably messaging me there, is probably, the fastest. So either way, either that though, there are a couple of other options on my Linktree. So.
And the name of your business again is?
Soul Secrets.
Do you mentor people through the process as well, or do you have resources you point them to?
Yeah, so I have a one-on-one where we'll do a month of calls. We do weekly calls, and then they have Voxer access to me or Messenger if they don't have Voxer. There's a womb program I have with a workbook that is just a womb healing program, and that's a more long-term program as well. It's usually 3 or 4 calls at least, and then the support, and then some of the workbook activities. And then I have my single sessions, and there is a group healing session I do every week that's $33. So that's pretty inexpensive if somebody wanted to get to know my energy, see if we're a good fit or whatnot. So that's every week, and then I am putting together. It's on my scheduler now. So an actual Andromedan connection session to where I'll connect somebody with Andromedan energy, and kind of see where they fit in with that, if they resonate with that. And I'll probably add more starseed sessions. I can do my higher self reading. I could go to any of the stars, systems with that if they need something, they have a question about that. So that's kind of an all-in-one. If they had questions about their origin, we can go there with that reading as well. But I'm really feeling a pull to Andromedan, specific session as well. So yeah, so I mean, there's a multitude of things that people can do with me if they resonate with my energy.
I always want to know my origin story. What system am I from? For you, now that you are open to the different sacred geometry symbols that kind of key into the matrix for lack of a better word. I think I'm probably just mixing up terms now. Forgive me.
No, that's okay.
but, but and the light, like electric wires that kind of connect everything. Is that a grid that you see only when you're going through like the meditation dimension levels, or is this something you're able to see all the time?
I can see it like all the time. That specific, the module, I've only seen twice, and I didn't even know what it was the first time I went to it. That was Antonio again, helped me understand a little bit of where I was going and what I was doing with that. Because the first time I was just like, okay, what is this? And I saw it, and then when I was working with him, I saw it again. I'm like, I've been here before. So for the most part, it's really strange. A lot of times when I'm driving or like when there's music on, sometimes things will pop in, messages or missions or something like that. But for the most part, I'm usually not in active meditation when I'll just get a nudge to go meditate or to go do a mission or to go connect in with something. And then I'll, unless it's like specific, like looking into something for someone, it'll just kind of be a nudge. I'm not a big like sit and meditate for a long time person. Like I kind of, I'll pop in when I have a question about something, about my history of myself or something, or I want to learn something. But most of the time, I just get a nudge to go do something, and then it's like I'll go do it then.
That's super cool. We've discussed the Earth's harmonics before. Are you familiar with that?
No, like maybe elaborate a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. I was curious because I don't know, because I know not all of these worlds are intersected in, the same way. But we have been introduced to the harmonics that the earth kind of has these vibrating frequencies that occur all the time. And it's almost like a musical pulse
Oh yeah.
that
Okay.
some people hear, some people feel, and
Yeah.
and depending on the state, sometimes people can be in their waking world, just kind of go in zoning out, and they can feel the harmonics or they can hear it. And so I was curious if that's something that you are sensitive to because you were speaking to frequencies and that
Yeah,
level.
so like are you talking to like the magnetic field and like the Schumann resonance and stuff like that? People that talk about like the magnetic field are just like frequencies. For me, I feel so I'm usually feeling the frequencies, especially when there are other things going on as well, like solar storms, or like just things going on. But shifts, especially like timeline shifts. So when all of the collective decides to up level, like I'll feel it. It's almost like I would say like a mini earthquake or something, like, but it's not happening outside of me. I feel like and I call it wobbly. I feel like the energy gets wobbly. I feel like I'm a little off kilter. Everything's just kind of like I might be a little dizzy or whatnot. And then it's like usually I feel things that way. So, or I might be more tired or something. So usually, yeah, there's a physical, when shifts happen with the earth, there's things that I feel more so like physically.
What's a timeline shift?
So, I mean, there are. I can read the timelines, so I look at them a lot, so I can see us go up. So, like the collective has a timeline. We all have our own individual timelines as well. So, like when you're looking at the collective as a whole and where we want to go and how how do we want to help, like we're up leveling and shifting, and so when the entire collective, and this is not like your human mind, but the entire collective consciousness decides they're going to shift, so their higher selves are kind of guiding them, we all kind of shift up. And sometimes it's such a massive amount of people making the same decision at the same time that you can like actually feel it. I've even had time go wonky, like I don't know, it's like time will there was an hour that shifted, like there's been 15 minutes here or there's been times that I've looked at the clock and I'm like, it's not, that didn't, something happened. I know other people have talked about this as well. They've also seen like articles on the internet that have been rewritten out or something like that. So like they'll see something and then try to go back and it's gone, or they'll actually even like take a picture of it to to prove. So there have been like some physical representations of like time and change, stuff like that happening. So that's when I talk about like timeline, like bumps, shifts, whatever, that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Okay. So do we ever shift down, or is it always upshift?
sometimes we've been shifting up for a while, so there's times that everybody doesn't make the same decision we'd all like, though, so it takes a little longer to get up,
Right, right.
Yeah, there have definitely been ups and downs, so.
This is really cool. Would you be open to coming on again in the
Oh
future?
my gosh, yeah, I would love to. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many more questions I'm going to have, and I want to research more about the light language and all of these awesome topics you talked about. So I can have
Yeah.
another conversation with you.
Absolutely, I would love it.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Julie, and this has been a really fantastic time. I feel like the time just like bloop. And funny,
It
we're
was a
talking about
lot of
time
fun.
shifts, but it feels like it blinked. So I really enjoyed it, and I am so thankful that you reached out to me when I put that post out so that we could have you on the show. And I appreciate you being open about all of these topics. I know that not everybody is always as receptive to hearing it, so I think it takes a level of vulnerability to come and
It
talk about that
does.
stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for being willing to do that.
Absolutely.
All right, John.
All right. No, thank you again. I think everything happens for a reason, and I think that somebody obviously out there needed to hear what you have to say, and obviously we needed to hear it too. We had questions, and Ashley's pointing at herself. I needed to hear it.
I mean,
But
let's be honest. The past 2 weeks, a lot of these topics are, and not like she was saying, there's not a coincidence. A lot of these topics are consistently being repeated to us. Whether it be, I just got told I need to look into light language, and here you are talking more about it. Like literally 2 days ago, someone said, Ashley, I feel like you need to look into light language. That's what I need you to do, And so it's just like, oh, okay, sure. And then you come on and you're like, so this is what light language is. And I'm like, okay, universe, I'm listening. So this has been really like, I love when those synchronicities happen. I love it.
I love that too. It makes me I just get really excited. I'm like a little kid when like everything, like the synchronicities and the angel numbers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So yeah, I love it that you just heard that, and then here I am,
Yes.
reiterating it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great. And I think it's awesome. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners for listening to this episode of 3Haunted Podcast with your host. I'm John Thomas.
I am Ashley Lunar Goddess.
And if you have any episode suggestions, questions, comments, or concerns for some of our thoughts here, mine especially, please feel free to email us at 300podcast@gmail.com. And like always, if you haven't done so already, please like, follow, and subscribe to our social medias. You don't want to miss one crazy moment.
Until next time.